Never at a loss for words, that Jerry Jones. Shannon, if the Cowboys lose, what do you think? Will McCarthy lose his job?
Yeah, how do you justify keeping him? He said you got a lot more to evaluate him on. Okay, his first year there, you missed the playoffs. Last year, you was one and done in the playoffs. You mean to tell me, Skip, now Jerry Jones always talks about the personnel, the talent that he's assembled, and how great it is.
He picked it.
He picked it. This is what he said last year, Skip, after losing to the 49ers. He says he's extraordinarily disappointed. I'm very disappointed. Disappointed for our fans. This is quite a letdown. They outplayed us. Okay, that's what you had. Now, what were you last year? 13-4, 12-5. You had a very good record last year. You have a very good record this year. You tailed off towards the end. Yeah. Okay, if you wanted...
Only 12-5 and 12-5,
okay.
Right? Okay.
You lost last year in the first round, Skip, at home. You lose this year in the first round to a sub-500 team. How do you
You're 2.5-point favorite down there. Go ahead.
So how do you justify keeping him? So if you evaluate Mike McCarthy, so I'm just trying to figure out, Jerry, what are you actually evaluating him on? Because I thought you told me last 2 years, you and Steven been telling me y'all got Super Bowl talent. This team reminds me of those 90s Super Bowl teams. I'm like, Skip, you heard what the man said? I said, well, Skip, you were down there covering this team. You see that? Skip said, yeah, well, I kind of, they got it.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out, what are you going to evaluate him on if you're not evaluating him with the talent that you've assembled on winning in the playoffs? You happy with 12-5? I don't believe Jerry. I believe if they go down there and they'll lay an egg like they laid in the last game of the season against the Washington Commanders, Jerry's going to have a very, very difficult decision. And he's going to have a very tough time keeping him because with what you've assembled, you look at Dak, you got a $40 million quarterback, you got the highest paid running back, you got a top 10 receiver, you got an offensive line that's really good. I ain't said they're great, I said but they're really good.
2 Hall of Famers.
Two Hall of Famers.
To be,
And then you got a defense that finished, what did they finish in takeaways? They're number one in takeaways, right?
Number 1 in the NFL in takeaways. And number 1.
And so you're going to go down there and lay an egg to an 8-9 team.
8-9.
And then you say, oh, yeah, Mike McCarthy, it's all good.
That's an 8-9 team that Shannon Sharpe has called a bad football team pretty much from like game number 2 on, right?
Yes. They played good the first game. They played good game 16, but everything in between wasn't very good.
Okay, so you could dismiss their body of work as just a bad football team.
Yes.
Okay.
With that being said, Skip, it's going to be very difficult. I understand what Jerry's saying. I think Jerry's trying to say the right thing right now, not to put too much pressure on Mike McCarthy. But Mike McCarthy feel it. Because the Cowboy faithful, they've been going crazy all year. This is our year. This is our year. And they keep telling me, we them boys. Hey, Shadow, we still them boys. Okay, we about to find out come Monday night about 10 o'clock if y'all still them boys. I believe if he lays an egg, like they laid an egg Sunday, Skip, you got no choice. I know you're going to be on top of this table demanding that.
I will be up on top with my feet up on top of this table. Demanding, stomping. I'll be stomping in the middle of this table, stomping for get this man out of my sight. Okay. I wish I could fight you on anything you said. I don't agree with your final takeaway, but I'll get to that in a moment.
Okay.
But I can't fight you today. I can only applaud you for everything you just said. And Jen said, to open the show, as she was reading the lead to the show, that Jerry's never at a loss for words. Yet I'm always at a loss over Jerry's words, right? I'm always at a loss because I know Jerry very, very, very well.
Right.
I don't understand him. To this moment, I can't even begin to translate
You can't see what he sees in Mike McCarthy.
I cannot. Okay, you know how I felt from the start about this guy. He's fraudulent. He is a product of Aaron Rodgers. And it's hard to be a product of a guy who I don't trust in the postseason, but he was a product because Aaron got on one hot roll. That whole team got on a hot roll. Maybe this guy got on a hot roll calling plays.
Right.
But they were not expected to do anything because they were the bottom seed. They had to go on the road to Philadelphia and on the road to Atlanta
and Chicago.
And then to Chicago. So they went road, and then came to, of all places, Jerry World and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I give you that, even though Troy Polamalu had a pulled ham. Ryan Clark was kind of on his last legs at safety, but Aaron took advantage, and our man Greg Jennings caught a huge touchdown pass that blew that game open, and God bless you all. You did that, and you got your ring.
Right.
And when he was hired, I was the first to almost stand up on this table and say, at least we got a made man. He's got a Super Bowl ring. No, he's made of straw because he's not, I don't know what he is, because I still to this moment, seriously, from the bottom of my heart, I don't know what he does. I'm not sure what he does except have a beer and some nachos with Jerry.
Well, that's what he does.
That's what he does, and he's really good at it. I think he's a good guy, and I think he's fun to be around.
Right.
I don't think he's like the life of the party. Jerry likes the heck out of him, not as the proverbial son, because he's up there in age, but as a brother.
Right.
I think it's more in brother.
Right.
He just likes having him around because you know what? He can talk a good game. He can talk ball, man. He can talk it. He can give you the inside stuff on ball. He knows this and he knows the inside stats.
Right.
Jerry, did you know that? Let me tell you. Yeah. Let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about that. He keeps Jerry like in the loop. Great.
Correct.
He's great at that. I'm not sure what loop he's in to start with. But the point is, Jerry owns the team. It's the most valuable team in the world. Yeah. And it's like his choice, like he's going to do what he wants to do because he makes him happy. Right. That's all you need to know is he makes Jerry Jones happy. Yeah. Because on Friday afternoon, they have their weekly meeting where they go off, I don't know where they go, and they drink a couple and they have some nachos and they kick it around.
Right.
And he tells Jerry exactly what's going to happen on Sunday. And it makes Jerry happy. Jerry looks forward to that. Okay, so that's what's going on here.
And then Jerry comes out and talks to the media. They're like, man, Jerry been watching tape. Jerry ain't watched one tape.
Hadn't watched any tape. And now, don't get me started on this, but this is why we have this dearth of black head coaches in this league. For what I'm talking about right now is why we don't have what we're down to what now? Lovey's gone. We're down to two, maybe three. I guess if Mike McDaniel's biracial, whatever.
If Steve Wilkes can keep that job.
Steve Wilkes, that's a good one. But I'm trying. You know this.
Yes.
This is how it operates.
Right.
Because he doesn't call plays. He's not a motivational speaker. He's the opposite of. He's like a bump on a log during games. He's looking up at the scoreboard, and I'm thinking, somebody wake him up.
Yeah.
You know, can you throw the challenge flag? He's had a couple this year where I said, okay, I'll buy that.
Right.
But the point is, after all these quotes from Jerry, let me just read a couple of them because this is outrageous stuff. He says, I can't tell you how much confidence I've got in Mike and in our coaching staff. I'll give you both the coordinators because I think they're both very good at what they do. They're on top of where we are with this team right now. Well, you're on top in the bottom. You know, like I don't know where you are because you are reeling into the playoffs, right?
You're correct, yes.
Okay. They've got every nuance. They got every nuance. I'm about to give you all the unnuances that they have. They understand every frailty that we might have or we might have shown Sunday, obviously in the loss at Washington. They've got everything in their grasp and in their understanding. I have complete confidence in this coaching staff. We have a great chance to go down there and have success. Timeout. Every nuance, Shannon Sharpe, help me real quick, walk back through this. So, all the way up through the Indianapolis game at home, I was pounding the table pro Cowboys because I said, I see firepower, I see star power, I see trustability because they had just wiped out Matt Ryan and the Colts in the fourth quarter, 33-0. They had gone up to Minnesota and won 40-3. What was I supposed to? I'm like, okay, I'm good. Then Houston happened, and that was the first bad sign because Houston's a bad football team, and they should have the first pick in the draft, but somehow they beat the Colts.
Yeah,
and they
blew that.
They blew it with a last-second Hail Mary and a two-point. They did that, and they gave away, and Lovey's like on his way out the door, it's like, F you, okay, and he got him. He got him good, and I love that. Okay, so it took a 98-yard 2-minute drive to survive the Houston Texans at Jerry World. Okay, that started it. And I'm like, well, that's not very good, right? They go to Jacksonville. They're up 27-10, and you know what happened? They stumbled all the way home and lost it in overtime. I still look back at it, and you were correct. You first guessed it. You said, there went the NFC East. There went the 1 seed. Because if you win that game, do you not have a shot at...
a real shot now.
You would have had a real shot at the division crown, but you would have had a real shot at the 1 seed, right?
Yes.
It would now be, if you had won that game and taken care of the rest of your business, all of a sudden, Philly's going down to Tampa on Monday night, and you're sitting pretty at home.
That is correct.
Watching, right? You got your week off. That didn't happen. And then all of a sudden, they have to turn right around on Thursday and go down and to Nashville, where I went to school, but... you know, the Titans are saying we have nothing. It's like a bizarre nuance of the scheduling. They had nothing to play for. Zero. They were playing all backups.
Right.
They're playing a guy who was sort of on the street, and Joshua Dobbs, he's their third-string quarterback at that point. They just signed him, kind of like Baker Mayfield going to the Rams.
Right.
And all of a sudden, Joshua Dobbs just plays the heck out of him. And you could see that one Mike, Vrabel, got his team ready, and the other Mike, my Mike, please drop the Mike McCarthy, his team's not ready to play. And they fumble and stumble around, and it took mostly 4 quarters to get through a game they should have won like 35-7, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then you know what happened. They get some time off to get ready for a game that Dak said, we need to go win this football game just for our own confidence. And at Washington, they play the ugliest football game I think I've ever seen in the history of this franchise, and I know it cold. I know it inside and out. I can't remember a worse game under the circumstance than that game against the Commanders playing a rookie named Sam Howell, and they were in command of the football game from opening bell.
Yes.
You needed to put some pressure on Philly, even though it was long shot pressure. As they scoreboard watched in Philly, you needed to put a 21-0 up on the board after a quarter, where they had to look up and say, uh-oh, we got you got to increase a little bit of pressure on them. Well, they put no pressure because it went the other way, right? And they lose 26-6. Help me out. Does not a lot of that fall on that man's doorstep?
They weren't ready to play. They looked like a team that was not ready to play, didn't want to play, or to say, well, they were only going to play a quarter, Skip. And Jerry, you mentioned that you was reading that Jerry said that he understands the nuances and the frailties of what transpired. There's a difference, a big difference between knowing what's happening and then knowing how to fix it. So, Skip,
I mean, we know what's happening. I mean, I think
but can he fix it?
Right.
Can he fix it?
What has he ever done to fix anything, right? Is he going to push buttons, psychological
No, that's
buttons?
not what he does. That's not what he does.
Is he going to show him Rocky on
I'm sure
Sunday night? Or
maybe he'll come up with they'll smash some watermelons. Or
no, that's right. I forgot about smashing watermelons all over the floor in the Minneapolis hotel.
Maybe they have a water pistol fight or something. I don't know where they're going to do that in town.
Okay, all right. And he'll tell the media, I came up with that after the game. Okay, so I'm asking, what exactly has he done to earn trust? Well,
nothing.
Well, nothing. Absolutely nothing, because 12-5 seems empty to me right now because of the way they are falling into the playoffs. And when you say, I have the utmost confidence, I don't think he's trying to do his proverbial sell ice to the Eskimos. I don't think he's being a super salesman. I don't think he's trying to spin this positively. I just think he's saying, hey, do you understand? I own this team, and I love this guy. And his point was, when they broached the subject, he said, no, I don't even want to start. Like, I don't want to go in there because that's a non-issue for me. There's no discussion of this.
But do you want to win, Jerry, or do you want a homeboy that you can drink, have beer, and eat ice cream, or invite him over to the house?
Probably
because you fired Jimmy Johnson after he won your Super Bowl. And he said, Skip, also last year, he said, when you get this combination of players together, you need to have success, because we all know how it goes in the NFL. The whole thing is set up for you to take away the best and add to ones that need to improve on. And personnel-wise, I think we have one of the best. So you got all the personnel. You got some of the best.
Yeah.
Skip, 12-5. You hired Mike McCarthy because you said you wanted a guy that had Super Bowl experience and could take this roster and get it over the top. If you continuously gets bounced after 12-5 season in the first round, what the hell good is Mike McCarthy? Who cares about 12-5? It's about winning championships because you believe you have a championship team. That's what you keep telling us?
Yep. This came across to me as a rest on my laurels speech, where he seems satisfied with 12-5. Like, whatever happens, happens, right? Whatever happens, damn the torpedoes. If we lose, so be it. I love this guy. We went 12-5. I'm good.
But you know what, Skip? He can do that. You know why? Because you said it earlier. He has the most valuable franchise in all the world. So it doesn't matter. Skip, what's the incentive for me to win a Super Bowl if I'm still going to be worth $8 billion? What's the incentive for me to go far in the playoffs if I'm still going to be worth $10 billion? If my merchandise is going to be number one, I'm still going to be the most watched Sunday ticket in NFL. No matter who I play, the Cowboys are going to be number one. That's why they put their butt on Monday night. So,
hey, and trust me on this. That game is going to go through the roof on numbers. I wish it were on Fox, but it's not.
It'll be the highest rated Monday night game in NFL history. I guarantee you that.
It just will be. And it's intriguing. And we love talking about it. because he owns America's team, and they're interesting. And in large part, they're interesting because he's the face of the franchise.
Right, yeah, no question.
You know, do you remember when Brady hit the free agent market when Belichick and Kraft finally said, okay, thank you very much, good night?
Yeah.
And I was over here pounding the table. Jerry, you could go get Tom Brady because he was at a contractual impasse. It had gotten ugly and messy with Dak. And I said, go get the GOAT. No, he's not going to do it because
Tom Brady immediately is the face of your franchise.
He's the face of the franchise, and whatever happened from that moment on, he would get 1,000% of the credit for it, not Jerry.
Right.
Jerry's like, no, I'm good.
No.
I'm good. I'm good with my 4th-round pick at quarterback.
Exactly.
Because I'll finally overpay him, and then I'll tell him to his face, I overpaid you. Okay? So you're stuck with Dak. I don't know. We're going to talk more about his legacy, but do I trust him? It comes down to he's won one playoff game in his life against the guy down there who's 45, but he's won 35 playoff games. So it's 35-1, and that's what you're up against. But Jerry feels real good because my coaches know every nuance of what's wrong with my team. Well, it just keeps getting wronger and wronger. By the week, it kept spiraling down and down. And I didn't mention the Philly game in the middle of this that came right after Jacksonville. But remember, it's Gardner Minshew. And Dak played great in that game. Played great. Made the big throw.
The second because he started off kind of rough.
Okay, but I'm doing the big picture. It felt like a big-time game to me, in part because he threw a 52-yard pass to T.Y. Hilton on 3rd and 30. Okay? And yet, if Gardner Minshew doesn't hand us 4 early Christmas presents, I just don't know if we get out of it.
You're not winning that game.
Because he threw for, what was it, 355?
Yeah, he threw for well over 3.
Well, he just was going up and down the field at will, and if he doesn't miss the 2 handoffs, they had the one fumble on the handoff, and throw 2 picks, I don't know where we are. I kept telling you going into that stretch after we lost to Jacksonville, is it possible we lose out? Well, 12-5, I've never seen a situation where a 12-5 team that's a 2.5-point favorite is going down there, and on paper it looks like a mismatch to me. Seriously, we did it yesterday where you go down, you do running game versus running game. Tampa can't run the ball. Tampa can't rush the passer. Even the receiving core. I'll still take Dallas's receiving core over Tampa's just because it's got a little bit of speed to it. But we could just keep going down paper. But on the field, your instincts, you as a Hall of Famer, I could tell yesterday your instincts are starting to tell you, wait a second.
Well, you might be better at every position except the one that matters the most.
That is correct.
That's the one that touches the ball every play.
So I think a lot of people are thinking, well, it's like stroking their chin, like, wait a second.
Your defense is better.
Okay, your defense is better. Everything. Okay, that's what you're up against here. And Jerry's still clinging to delusional, it's almost like fantasy land of, I'm 12-5, and do you remember me back when we went to Minnesota and won 40-3? Yeah.
Maybe that would work for the Texans. That would work for a team that hadn't had the success that you've had. But when you've accumulated the talent, and you tell us all the time about how great you are at picking talent, what good is it if you can't maximize it come playoff time? You get bounced. I mean, you hadn't been to an NFC Championship game since you last won the Super Bowl. The 95 headed into 96. Skip.
It's forever. And that's why I predicted this year they're going to get to the NFC Championship game. Unfortunately, I predicted it was going to be against Tampa in the NFC game, and all of a sudden they got to do it first. So something's got to give here. But Jerry always said that one of his biggest mistakes was, remember, Chan Gailey lasted 2 years and he went 18-14 in those 2 years. And then that second year, they lost to Minnesota in a wild card game, 27-10, and he fired Chan Gailey, and he always said that was a mistake. I overreacted. So he's thinking about this, and I never got the sense that he loved Chan Gailey because Chan was a little bit arm's length because he'd been there and done all that. He'd been around the league and was a highly respected offensive.
He was my position coach when I first got to Denver.
Was he?
He was. He absolutely was.
He was your tight end coach?
He was a wide receiver coach. We got drafted to wide receiver.
Did you like him?
I did. I did. I did.
Because he's his own man, and he sort of believes what he believes.
He was religious.
And I get the sense that he was okay with Jerry, but Jerry didn't couldn't put an arm around him because there was no mutual sort of admiration. But the point was he fired Chan Gailey, and he regretted it. So to your point, you're 1,000% correct about if they lose this game, he should go. Because that would be back-to-back years of that would be San Francisco and Tampa.
If they lose this game, Skip, the regret that he had for firing Chan, for overreacting, he'll regret if he doesn't fire him.
That is correct. I agree. But I'm here to tell you, my gut driving force instinct is there's no way he's firing this guy because he went 12-5 back-to-back, and Jerry's going to take that to his bank because he can sell it.
You lose 24-7. He comes back. You believe Mike McCarthy. You lose 24-7 to an 8-9 team. After you go 12-5.
Okay. All right. And remember, Mike's first year, Dak got hurt, so he had the big Dak injury.
Yeah, okay,
right?
you can use that as an excuse.
Yeah.
What was the excuse last year? You was 12-5, had a home game.
Right, and they just didn't show up.
Yes.
They were not ready to play,
Right.
and Kyle had his team really ready to play, and you look up, and the game's kind of over after a quarter.
Yes.
And I know they made it look respectable.
Right, because at one point it was 23-7 or something like that when the game, 23-7, something like that.
Okay. So then he goes into, in the end of all these remarks, he goes into this Brady factor, and he says it's conceivable that we could make Brady not play well and still get our tails beat by the rest of the team.
No, you can't.
So he's trying to say, let's minimize this. Let's not buy into the aura of the GOAT or the mystique of the GOAT. And I'm like, Jerry, what? You got to be careful with this. He's speaking from a position of strength that he doesn't deserve.
Right.
That's what's happening right here.
Skip, I don't believe there's a scenario in which they can win in which Brady doesn't play well at some point in that game.
How could they?
I mean, how?
I don't know, because look at their body of work.
It's not like they got Josh Jacobs or one of these dominant running backs. It's not like their defense is like the 2000 Ravens.
Oh.
So I'm just trying to figure out, if Brady doesn't play well, they can't win.
Okay.
And you say, well, Brady might not play well and we still might lose. How? That means if Brady doesn't play well and you lose, that means Dak played worse than Brady. That's all. That's the only thing I can summarize.
That is true. I buy that. He's trying to paint pictures that will take him off the hook.
Yes.
You know, like no. don't give me that.
No.
Because this is a time that cries for a head coach who can fix it or jumpstart it.
Right.
That can rocket fuel it with words or somehow. I'm just convinced in the locker room after I saw the Hard Knocks of, what was it, 2 years ago? Motivational speeches, not his forte.
Right.
So the point is, with this guy, what will he say that will re-inspire them? Nothing. He has to hope that external forces, that the media sort of, that they find, like CeeDee Lamb said yesterday, we need to flip the switch. Well, man, when you've gone this many games, Gardner Minshew, Joshua Dobbs, Sam Howell. What?
Yeah.
Okay, you did this for a long time. You know, once you get to this point, if you've been struggling, you can't just say, I got this switch over here. I got this switch under my pads, and I can just switch it up.
It don't work like that.
No, it doesn't work. Sorry. I don't know.
I'm sorry, guys. It don't work like that.
Well, I'm stuck
For
with drop
what it's
the
worth,
mic.
gentlemen, McCarthy has 2 years left on his existing deal.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.